Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another video on Arrow Season 6, and this is going to be my review for Episode 3, otherwise entitled Next of Kin. So obviously before we go ahead, there will be spoilers in this video, so if you have not watched the episode, go do that now before you watch the rest of this video, because yeah, you're going to get spoiled. Now obviously right towards the end of last episode, we saw Oliver, due to, issues in his personal life, having a new son in his life, feel the pressure and hand over the mantle of the Green Arrow to his best friend John Diggle, and that was really the setup for this episode. Now to start off, we had a new voice narration. Supergirl had one this week, and so did Legends of Tomorrow, so Arrow continued that trend. Only the Flash had the same one it's had the whole season, so Arrow continued that trend that we'd had with Supergirl and Legends with its new intro, and basically handing over the Green Arrow mantle to Diggle. So that means when Oliver eventually gets back in the suit, that intro is going to change again. But this episode started off with a pretty cool action scene, and it started off with just this cool set piece with Diggle essentially flying, like jumping off the building, and then being guided over to the other building with Dinah's cry, which I thought was really, really cool to see. It's a shame they didn't do this maybe when Laurel was on there. There was another scene, I think in maybe season 3 or maybe 4, where Laurel did something similar with her cry, but nothing like that, where basically if Dinah missed, Diggle would have been going a bit splat on the floor, so it was pretty cool. Now we continue on with this episode with a theme or a little storyline that's been going on the whole season. So Oliver's struggling with William once again, and this is going to continue on basically the whole season, you would think, or at least the first half of this season. And I don't mind it. I know I did see some people talking about how they didn't really like it too much, which is understandable. People aren't going to like it. It's going to be one of those storylines where people are either just going to accept it and go, yeah, it's okay, I don't mind watching it. I don't know if anyone would necessarily love it. I don't think it's a storyline which many people would love, but it's definitely one that's, people are going to like it, they're just going to dislike it. It's one of them. But overall, I think it's good. It makes sense. Like, Oliver would be struggling with William. William's still going to have those, that boundary against Oliver, not really wanting to get too involved with him, if that makes sense. But, this episode sort of like, continues that storyline a bit more, and I thought that was good to see. Some of you might have missed this. It was like a little Easter egg in this episode, but when Felicity had her whiteboard and she was trying to figure out names for this startup company that her and Curtis are going for, Oracle is on the board and it's crossed out. So yeah, they've once again had a little tease at comparing Felicity and Oracle, which is of course going to annoy a lot of people. I rolled my eyes at it a bit and I was like, oh, is that necessary? I think they just like to trigger people, the writers. Now, in regards to Felicity's startup company, I have seen a lot of people going, oh, can they just get to making it Smoke Technologies? Like, holy crap, just get it done. They've said that Smoke Technologies, I mentioned this in another video, but Smoke Technologies won't be the name of it. Whenever Felicity and Curtis come around to finally deciding the name, it's not going to be called Smoke Technologies. I think somewhere it said it might be called Smoke Enterprises, but it's not going to be called Smoke Technologies. So I think it would be weird if they call it Smoke something, unless like Curtis just doesn't really care about his Felicity's name being on it and all plastered on it. But I guess we'll have to wait and see in regards to that. But for everyone going, Smoke Technologies, just announce it now. They've said that Smoke Technologies won't be the name of the company. Now, one of the funnier parts, if not the funniest part of the episode, was definitely when Team Arrow went to the Cord escort truck, if you want to call it that, where they had all that stuff, like the poison gas, and Diggle ends up shotgunning in the Cord truck. I thought that was hilarious. I wasn't expecting it. Yeah, it definitely caught me off guard, and I thought it was a funny moment. Just like one of those like dry humor pieces. Like it wasn't like an obvious joke. It was just a really not subtle, but just a dry thing. Like just happened all of a sudden, then the next scene it's gone. So it's just one of those funny moments. Now, the villain for this episode, and we meet a couple of times in this episode, was Onyx. I think it was Onyx Adams was her name, and she's the leader of a rogue Black Ops team who were somewhere in like 2015, did something with gold and blamed it on people or something like that. I didn't really care too much about this storyline. Just one of those typical villain of the week thing. Who cares about their backstory? But essentially, they've been hunting down other members of their Black Ops team that didn't go along with them, and the last one that they're hunting is in Star City, and they take all their these people down with poison gas, and that's what they got from the Cord truck. So once again, they're dealing with poison gas. Now throughout this, we do see that Diggle is struggling with leadership, as well as just like himself in general, trying to replicate what Oliver does, which I think we all knew he would be dealing with going into this episode, just trying to live up to Oliver's standards. But really, that conversation between both Diggle and Oliver was a really nice one, like one of those bromance conversations where usually it's not Oliver giving it to Diggle, it's the other way around. Usually it's like Diggle reassuring Oliver and just trying to keep him motivated, but it was Oliver reassuring Diggle. So it's like one of those, they're flipping the tables a bit, and we usually don't, as I said, we haven't really seen that too much. Usually it's been Diggle reassuring Oliver, so it was a really nice conversation and scene in this episode. Now, early in the episode, obviously I talked about Oliver struggling with William, and William had been like struggling or like freaking out about a maths test because he was late coming to school, starting this new school, so he's behind. And as soon as they brought this up, I was just thinking to myself, like, why isn't Oliver just getting Felicity or Curtis to go over and help William? Like, he knows two geniuses. He doesn't have to pay for them to go there. They would do it for free because they're friends. Why is it taking him so long to get two of these, or at least one of these geniuses to go over and help William? Finally, Felicity is chosen because, they just wanted to bridge Olicity in this episode. I'm not going to talk about Olicity anymore in this episode, you know why. But obviously that was just bridging that, so that's why Felicity was chosen. I rolled my eyes a lot, but yeah, let's continue. Now, the fight scene in the limo between Diggle or Green Arrow and Onyx was really cool. Like, the cinematography and like the camera direction and stuff in that scene was really awesome. Like how it went outside of the limo, it sort of got blocked off a bit, and then it all of a sudden moves inside the limo. I thought that was really cool. Like, I know it could have gone on longer. It would have been nice to see it go on a bit longer. It would have been cooler. But you can understand why they didn't, because it is a TV show. They can't keep those type of scenes going for too long, but it was still pretty cool. And very, very impressive. Now, we did get this sort of spoiled in the trailer, and I don't know why they did this, but we find out that Diggle actually gets a crossbow that shoots arrows. So he's not the best archer. He can shoot a bow and arrow if he wants to, or shoot an arrow from a bow if he wants to, but he's not Oliver's caliber, like nowhere near that. So he gets a crossbow because he's obviously more familiar with a gun. Throughout the episode, they'd been talking about how he's lost his tremors, and it was just like, okay, well, we'll see how that goes, and obviously later in the episode we find out why he's been losing those tremors. But I wonder if it is going to be caught on by people that, Diggle or the Green Arrow is now using a crossbow rather than a bow and arrow, because he's been seen multiple times on photos and stuff with a crossbow and like, witnesses and stuff. So if he's using a crossbow now, it's just going to raise even more suspicion. But I guess he's better off firing some form of arrow than firing no arrows at all, because that's what had been happening in the episode. Like, people have been noticing the Green Arrow isn't shooting arrows, so that was a bit suspect. But speaking about the Green Arrow, I guess, Oliver makes the whole thing that was going through Senate, like a private vote with the whole anti-vigilante legislation. He makes it a public vote, which is a very, very smart idea, because it's not like it's the first year that like vigilantes have been in Star City. Like, they've been around for 6 seasons, so it makes sense that he would be like, well, surely there's a lot of people out there who have been saved by one of these vigilantes, or know someone who has been saved by a vigilante, that would vote that, hey, we want them on this city because the cops don't do enough. So it's a very smart move by Oliver to make that a public vote. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot of stuff in the next couple of weeks around like people protesting for or against this whole legislation, and against whether they want vigilantes or if they don't want vigilantes either. But the end scene for this episode, I sort of did hint at it before, or earlier on, with the whole tremors thing that Diggle was going through in regards to his arm. Well, we find out that Diggle is actually shooting up drugs, and he's been doing it ever since he's stopped shaking, I guess. But I guess the big question is it painkillers, is it steroids, or is it something else? Like, is it some other type of drug that is maybe like a concoction of different things, maybe painkillers, steroids, something else? So I'm assuming that's what we're going to be finding out over the next couple of weeks. And for those people that were saying, hey, Diggle's only going to be Green Arrow for one episode, he's going to be Green Arrow for a couple of episodes. It does seem like episode 7 or episode 8, which is a crossover, will be the first episode in which Oliver takes back the mantle. So I'm guessing by that time, maybe Diggle gets found out for the whole drug taking thing. I don't know. Maybe he gets taken off, or I don't know. It's going to be interesting to find out, because it's not going to go anywhere positive. It's just going to be a negative road for Diggle from here on in. But let me know what you think he's taking. Do you think it's painkillers, steroids, or do you think it's something else, like a cocktail of different drugs? Just let me know. But overall, I thought this was a pretty decent episode. The villain was weak. Like, I knew going into this episode the villain wasn't going to be anything interesting. It's just a whole thing to play with this whole new dynamic that the team has with Diggle as the leader. But yeah, it was okay. It wasn't like amazing. I thought it was just a decent episode, continuing on a pretty strong start for Arrow season 6. And I'm just very interested to see what happens with Diggle, because, had this nice little, orientation period in this episode with him as the leader. But now we've got this thing where he's taking drugs. Obviously, they might show some side effects of that, where it could be, decision making, or maybe like outbursts, like rage. Who knows what they're going to do, especially if he maybe has withdrawal symptoms. Which is something obviously you do see with drug takers, so that's something they definitely could play with in the episodes to come. So yeah, it's looking pretty good going forward. But thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy the video, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to show your support for the video and the channel as a whole. Let me know in the comments section down below what was your favourite part of the episode, what didn't you like, what do you think's going on with Diggle? Do you think he's going to go down a really dark path with, you know, raging out, maybe with withdrawals or something like that? Just let me know all of your opinions in the comments section down below, and of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys, and goodbye.